Hi, Bill here with another edition of Metal Minutes. Today is Wednesday, May 12th, 2021. Well, it's been a pretty good week for the metals. We've had gold up 3% since last week to 1836. Silver's up 4% to 2747. Platinum's up 1% to 1244. Palladium is taking a little breather. It's down 2% to 2958. And we've talked about that in our article and past metal minutes, that it's maybe a good time to take a little profit from palladium. If you had it, if you got in back when we recommended when the recession hit in 2020, that was a great time to get in, and now you've got a fair amount of profit. It might be worthwhile to shift into some of the other metals. So anyway, that's where we are for the week. For 1 year, we have gold up 8%, silver is up 77%, we've got platinum up 62%, and palladium's up 59%. And even though silver is up 77 and platinum's up 62, I still think that the opportunity to take profits is more in palladium. Even though it's only up 59% for the year, it's had several good years, and it's near record levels now. So that's why I feel that way. But let's talk about what's going on. The word for today is transitory. Transitory is a term that is often used by the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, and there are others that have picked it up. But what they're saying is that inflation will be transitory. And that's a kind of a word that's a little bit vague in its meaning, and it can mean two different things to two different groups of people. And I think and by that it will be both sides can say, one side can say it, well, it was true, and the other side can say, well, it's not true. And both will be correct, depending on how we define that word. So what the word means is temporary. And by saying that the rate of inflation is temporary, that may be true, but the effects of the inflation will not be temporary. And so let's discuss that. Transitory, let's use the example of jumping out of an airplane. That's something that I used to do. Of course, I wore a parachute when we did that in the military. And what happens when you jump out of an airplane is your speed in a downward direction increases at 9.81 meters per second. And so your speed is picking up at that rate for until a period at which you reach what they call terminal velocity. And after that point, you're not speeding up anymore, but you're still going very fast. And if you don't change something, you'll hit the ground pretty hard. And so by inflation being transitory and by it being temporary, what that is saying is that the rate of inflation, the rate that prices are increasing, may slow or even stop. The issue then becomes the prices are still higher than they were, say, a year ago. And they're a lot less likely to come back down than they were to go up to begin with. So even though the rate of increase may slow or stop, thereby them saying that inflation is transitory, the level of prices will likely continue to be high and higher than it is now or a year ago. So what does that look like in reality? Well, anyone that shopped at the lumber yard or the grocery store, or if you've looked at house prices in many areas lately, the prices are way up. Lumber is up close to 250, 300%. Even the price of used cars is higher than it was a year ago. The average house price in the United States is up around 14 to 17%. I forget the exact amount, but it's fairly significant. Now, if you look at the dollar, The US dollar value in relative terms is down 10% year over year. Now, there are many items that we've just discussed where the price is a lot more increased than 10%, but in a general overall way, the dollar is down 10% in its value versus a year ago. So in other words, what used to take $1,000 now takes $1,100. And so we mentioned earlier, previous broadcasts about companies, over 30 major corporations announcing that they're going to be raising their prices. When's the last time you ever heard of 30 companies announcing that they're going to be having to drop all their prices? I don't ever remember hearing an announcement like that. In fact, it's a rare thing for anyone to permanently lower their prices. So while inflation, the rate of inflation may be transitory, the effects of the inflation are going to be more permanent. In other words, the prices are more likely to remain at a high level even if they stop going up further, other than the occasional sale. So that's what transitory, what we have to keep in mind is even though the rate may change or slow or even stop, the level of the prices is expected to stay higher. And so that's where gold and silver come in. They help to protect your purchasing power. And, you know, if the dollar's down 10 and gold's up 8, that's pretty close, and often it's higher than that for 1 year. Silver being up 77%, well, there's some inflation protection for you. And so going forward, and it's worked in the last several years, it's worked for thousands of years, and that's why we promote the idea of precious metals to our clients and all of our readers. And we're believers in it ourselves, and we've been very blessed because of it. And so just keep your eyes out there. Like we say, you might want to take some profits from palladium, but the other three I expect to continue to do well the remainder of this year. So thanks a lot. We'll see you next week.